Hi everyone, I'm going to continue the series of the very famous Sephardi Rabbanim, and it's going to be the Hilula today on the Yud Av, the 10th of Av, naturally after Tisha B'Av, of a famous rabbi from Bosnia, from Sarajevo. His name was Rabbi Avraham Romano, who was a very, very famous rabbi. He would actually at one stage later on become the chief rabbi of Bosnia, so much can be said about him. So let me start relating over. He was actually born back in the year 1853. This was, he was born in Bosnia, and that was actually the English date was the 1st of May 1853. So we're talking about 170 years ago from tonight. And he passed away on the 17th of July in 1937. So that is about, from today, naturally 86 years back. And that naturally was on the 10th of Av, just after Tisha B'Av. Maybe at that specific year, it had to be Tisha B'Av itself. So he was born in Sarajevo, which at the time, it's Bosnia and Herzegovina. As we know, at one stage it was part of Yugoslavia. His father was Rabbi Ya'Kov Romano also. So he was, it was, and those times people weren't that wealthy, so the family there were hardships financially within regards to the family. And he learned with the Rabbanim of Sarajevo, of the elite Rabbanim over there. In fact, and so he actually learned under the auspiciation of Rabbi Yoshua Yitzchak Majuro, also Rabbi Bekur Levi, Rabbi Ben Sion Pinto, and also Rabbi Eliezer Papo II, who was the author of the book, the Damascus Eliezer. So this is the Rebbe I related over another video with in regards to the first Rabbi Eliezer Papo, who happened to be the author of the Periwet. So this was apparently that one of his rabbis was a grandson or a descendant, according to some opinions, of the original Rabbi Eliezer Papo, of the author of the Periwet. So it happened to be that there was a great rabbi in Bosnia, Rabbi Avraham Avinon, who was served many years as a chief rabbi over there between the years 1887 to 1902. So after he passed away in 1902, he became Rabbi Romano took over as a position as the head rabbi of the country. It looked like, and became like a head. He became the head Dayan also of the rabbinic court over there. He was headed over there, and it's actually interesting. He had great rabbanim also officiating next to him. For example, there was, to name a few, Rabbi Moshe Astro, who was known as a Cham Bachor, and also Rabbi Yoshua Salomo, who officiated next to him over there. It's actually quite interesting that he was actually, just to go back a few years, he was ordained as a rabbi naturally in Sarajevo, and he actually headed the yeshiva Degel Torah, which hundreds of students from the Jews of Sarajevo had studied. So that's very, very interesting. So Degel Torah, I believe, is another yeshiva I've mentioned before in a previous video. So he was a head rabbi of the community, and he was known as a more on the conservative side, the stricter side of the Rabbanim over there. He had great connections with many European officiates, European luminaries, non-Jewish people in prestigious positions. For example, he received from France, Joseph, the first emperor of Austria, a seal with a symbol of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So this was what was reported over, which was considered a very important symbol over there. So it's interesting. He obviously was in Bosnia for many years. He led the country and headed the rabbinic court also in Sarajevo, and until the year 1917. So he would later on actually move, before 1917, actually in the year 1913. So we're talking about he was at the premiership for 11-12 years at that same time. He would move to Israel, and he would be taking place within regards to that specific position on the chief rabbinate when Dr. Moritz Levy would take over as a chief rabbi over there in 1917. This would be a few years later on. So so it's interesting. And this Dr. Moritz Levy, Rabbi Dr. Moritz Levy, he actually was a graduate of the rabbinical seminary in Vienna, very prestigious place at the time it was. So he settled in Jerusalem in the year 1913, Rabbi Romano did, and he did not necessarily have an official position over there, but he was learning he devoted his time to writing a lot of different colossal works over there at the time, and he was among the great scholars, the great Talmidim of the Yeshivat Bet El, the Kabbalistic Yeshiva, which I've spoken about before, and the Porat Yosef Yeshiva, which is based naturally in Jerusalem, where there was an all-star lineup of great Rabbonim that learned there. It's actually interesting, he actually had an opinion with regards to the Kotel, the Western Wall, because some people wouldn't necessarily go to the Temple Mount now because of purity reasons. It was reported over that he actually saw the whole plaza of the Western Wall as something that might not necessarily be able to enter due to Tumah and Ta'ara purposes at that stage in time. That's what he held. It was reported over, and he actually passed away after Tisha B'Av on the 10th of Av, and was naturally buried. At the end, he was buried in, I believe, Har Zeitin, in the Beit Kvorot of there. So, yes, it's very interesting. So it says over there, just going back to the Kotel thing, I'll read what it says in the description in Hebrew, it's which I'm using from Wikipedia over here. It says, במשך 24 שנותיו בירושלים, העתקה לא ביקר כלל בכותל המערבי. He's saying he didn't visit, apparently, the Kotel at all, over there, משום שחשש לדעת הרדב"ז שהכותל המערבי הוא כותל הזרה, ולכן הסבר, he held שרחבת הכותל המערבי, like let's say the plaza area of the Kotel Mari, היא חלק מהר הבית. It's actually a part of the Har HaBayit, which with regards to Tumah, it's a question, obviously, naturally, if one can enter or not, and many Rabbanim say no, but that's very interesting. So I'll add some more information with regards to his family. A lot of the descendants became very, very great people. Also, for example, he married Rabbanit Blanca, who was also, I believe the family name originally was Mandolfa, and her family itself, they traced themselves back, reported over from Spain, from the exiles of Spain over there. And their youngest daughter at the time, Simcha, who lived about, let's say about 85 years or something, actually, I think, moved with the rabbi and the rabbinate to Israel, probably back in the year 1913, when she was about 20 years old, and married Abraham Albert Mizrahi, who happened to be a prominent businessman and real estate agent. And he was actually very interesting to know about, the son of David and Rosa Mizrahi, who were one of the founders of the Ahuzat Bet, which I think were people that came to Tel Aviv in the year 1909. Actually, more interesting things can be said. They had a very great rabbi of the name, a son that was a great rabbi, Rabbi Menachem Romano, who actually served as a chief rabbi in Croatia between the, at one stage. Croatia naturally was in Zagreb, I think, also part of the old Yugoslavia also. So, and maybe I'll leave more things to say about this great rabbi on his Hilula Bezrat Hashem. I will do also. So he wrote also some colossal works also. Many of the great things. So I'll give a few. Avraham. This was a book that he wrote, and Avraham Shenit, which was printed in Yerushalayim. The Shulchanot Shel Avraham he also wrote. It was compiled of Zichronot, Purim, Dinim, Uminhagim. We'll talk over. And he also did, I believe, many other different works, something to do with another colossal work of the Tefillot Lederech and the Tefillot Lemokomot Akdoshim. These were other books also. It can be said over. I'll just look over if he did any other books. He did, so very, very interesting. No, so those two books, which I just mentioned about, were prayer books. The initial ones were. So those prayer books was a Tefillat Lederech and Tefillot Lemokomot Akdoshim. These were two books of Tefillot, of prayers over there. And so those are the books he did. Very, very great rabbi. I very much recommend you to look about him online and everything else. Part of the great rabbis of Sarajeva or Bosnia. It was a time when there was great Torah scholarship over there, and much can be said about it also. So so it's his Lulad. This is about the 80th installment video in this series over here. And please look over the previous videos also in this fantastic series. I hope it's very knowledgeable, and I will leave his Hebrew name also on the page also, so that you can research him online. So guys, have a meaningful day, and I hope you all have a safe fast.